Hello and welcome to Tech Venture Podcast. Today we have a special guest, Tiarma Witte, who is the Chief Technology Officer at Low Code Academy in Amsterdam. Tiarma is an expert in technology and she helps businesses use low code development platforms to build apps faster and easier. She loves solving problems with technology and is a leader in the low code revolution. In this podcast, we will talk to Tiama about her journey, the future of low code development, and how it's changing the way we make software. So, before we dive into the podcast, I would just like Tiama to introduce herself.
That's my cue. Hi, everyone. My name is Tiarma. You pronounced it very well, actually, for someone who is not Dutch. My last name as well. I am from Amsterdam. Our company is actually in a different city, but yes, I am from Amsterdam. I work at Low Code Academy as a chief technical officer. What we do with our company is actually not provide software development ourselves, but we provide training to train everyone who wants to learn how to build apps in low code development.
Okay, that's nice. So, before we dive into the actual podcast, Yama, I would even like to introduce Tech to our audience. Okay,
Right?
so basically, Tech. Um, so, dear audience, I'm Janvi Agrawal, your host, and this episode is proudly brought to you by Tech, a pioneer technology solution provider dedicated to innovation and technology. At Tech, with main focus on IT solution, IT resources, recruitment, and tech audio podcast, we have partnership with 50 plus tech giants like SAP, Oracle, Microsoft, Pega, OutSystems, APN, Salesforces, Cloud Area, Informatica, and many more. We specialize in services like ERP, app development, data, AI, and MLA blockchain, cloud managed services, UX, UI, testing, and cybersecurity. We have a huge team of over 20 plus experts in various fields who can work either on site or offshore and can be deployed within 24 hours. We are big on hearing from tech leaders, and so we have Tiama today with us. Okay, so Tiama, I just want to know some background about your background. How did you become a chief technology officer at Low Code Academy?
Yeah, it's been quite a weird journey for me actually, because I studied musicology and then a research master's in cognitive sciences. But I realized science wasn't really for me, so maybe some of the listeners feel familiar that you study and then you realize, I don't like this that much. Maybe I need a completely different career. So I did that. I became a Mendix developer, which is a low-code platform. And I did a traineeship. I started at zero, and I learned in about 6 weeks, I think, how to learn apps, build apps. From there, I worked as a software developer for a couple of years at different companies. Learned a lot. And then at some point, I was approached by the trainers who taught me back in the day and asked if I wanted to join their startup, Low Code Academy, which I did, of course, because I'm here now. I started out creating workshops mostly about the things that I had learned on the job and doing some coaching. And then at some point, also teaching classroom boot camps. So the old-fashioned way that most people know a boot camp, like 9 to 5 every day, so many weeks, etc. But as time flew by, we started focusing more on our learning platform instead of just the workshops and the classroom trainings. And I took ownership of that platform and everything inside of it. And that's basically when I became the CTO.
Okay, so you have a very exciting journey.
Yeah, it's been diverse.
Okay, so you are currently working as a CTO at Low Code Academy, right? Okay, so as you told me that you have taken an ownership of the tech platform there, what specific fields do you teach in?
We offer only Mendix at the moment in this platform because that is the platform that we ourselves are most familiar with. But as I might come back later, we do hope to offer this same type of content for, well, you already mentioned OutSystems as one of your partners.
Yes.
For example, that's also a very big low-code platform, and we would love to, the big ones, the small ones, we would actually love to have more low-code education than just Mendix. But as of now, it is mostly Mendix that we offer.
Okay, that's nice. Can you just differentiate? What is the differentiating factor between low code and other platforms? Low code
So
space.
every platform has a kind of their own way that they are built. For example, Mendix is built in Java and the front end JavaScript. And well, I think OutSystems, I've been recently doing some research on it. I think it's made in .NET or Python. So even the back end can be different, but also the front end or the place where the developer is building the apps um, is it's a similar technology. So you don't write out the complete code. You need to know. I think they are all pretty much object based, which means that the object goes through some flows of logic. But the exact way of how to implement it and how to create the logic will be different per platform.
Okay, so the differentiating factor is the logic that you teach.
Yeah, the logic and how to tell the computer in low code with the dragging and dropping of the boxes with logic, that will be different, I think, per platform. So
Okay.
there will also be a lot of similarities, of course.
Obviously, it's tech, and computer just knows only one language.
Yes, in the end, it's all zeros and ones. Yes.
Okay, so what are were the some biggest challenges you faced in launching and growing low code academy?
Um, it's been quite a lot actually. There have been some. I think everyone in our team has personal challenges as well. Just matching your personality with entrepreneurship, with giving trainings, with creating content. But as for our company in total, I think the biggest challenge might be to get ourselves and our product out into the world. We offer very, very specific tech education, which is a lot different than, for example, selling perfume or summer outfits, because not everybody is looking for what we are offering. So it's a very niche market, and we are very strong when it's oh, we are very strong when it comes to content and didactic skills, but branding, marketing, and sales, it's completely new for us. So for me personally, everything that I've done that has to do with entrepreneurship is pretty new and therefore challenging. And yeah, we always end up doing what makes sense to us. So we build this product, we try to teach it the way that we think is best. But instead of a team giving you feedback, it's the world who has to say that it's good enough or not. So that's definitely it's exciting, but it's it's very challenging.
Okay, so as you have said me, like it's a niche market.
Yes.
So you have built yourself to some certain extent, I can say, right?
Sorry, I
You
have.
have built yourself to a certain extent in the market, and you're growing day
Yes.
by day.
Yes, we are growing. We are getting more recognition, and yeah, we've had very well good feedback of people who did um, take our education. So yes, we are definitely growing.
Okay, so can you just let me know how has low code academy curriculum and approach evolved to meet the changing needs of the industry? How is it helping the industry?
So how we've approached change. Well, as we mentioned, or as I mentioned, we started with mostly the classroom boot camps, which a lot of well, it seems like the logical thing to do. And our first big change was creating this hybrid bootcamp, which is actually partially individual stuff that a student can do by themselves, and partially with a coach who gives feedback and personalized, yeah, coaching, training, etc. So that takes away the full-time availability requirement within the office hours. And that makes the educating a lot more scalable. We have options to teach the platform. Within our platform, we can teach the trainings, but we can also say, oh, you can use our content if you have a trainer yourself. Which means you don't even need a person from Low Code Academy anymore. You just need access to the platform and your own trainer. So yeah, that's definitely a big change in the scene, especially for bigger businesses who continuously want to educate people in low code, different time zones, maybe even different languages. And as for curriculum, I have been focusing in this podcast as well, mostly on starters. So people who don't know anything about tech and they become a low-code developer with our bootcamp, for example. But the curriculum goes beyond just the basics, of course, because in the end, as you mentioned, it is all tech. And in the end, you, to a certain degree, have to know a little bit more about you don't have to know the zeros and the ones per se, but you do need to understand a lot more to become a good developer. So we focus after this basic bootcamp. We focus a lot on UX UI. The low-code developers are a lot closer to the end user than traditional developers in the setting of Agile Scrum usually. Security, which is of course always important, performance, integration, best practices in building, which will be different, of course, per low-code platform. And then one of my favorites is also staying up to date with more innovative, flashy developments and teaching people how to implement in low-code as well. For example, we're about to add the ChatGPT workshop with all customized options. And we recently had an event where we did machine learning in AWS in Mendix. So we tried to offer that as well.
Okay, that's interesting. So you have been working on various fields.
Definitely.
Okay, can you just let me know, like, how do you measure success of the boot camps conducted from the
So
perspective of students and businesses both?
sorry, sorry to interrupt.
No,
Yes.
no issues.
So for students and businesses both, for students, of course, during the trainings we can monitor the progress. We have templates, we have experience. So that's, yeah, we have the same bootcamp for a while now. So we kind of have a feeling of, what how people are doing, where they are stuck, and where they are, shining, how the learning curve is. But our full program, so what we offer usually is not just the bootcamp, but also coaching and 6 workshops with the subjects that I mentioned about in the last question over the time of a year. So in that year, there will be evaluation moments, even when they are just working during the coaching sessions with the students themselves, but also with their supervisor or someone from their team, maybe their tech lead. So, and we use evaluation forms that we created to really pinpoint, like, what do we expect versus what is happening in reality. And other than that, most, at least the bigger local platforms, they have certification exams. And I don't want to say that people should be defined by the certifications, but we do use the exams to see if people are ready to take the exam and if they pass or not as part of the measuring the success.
Okay, that's nice. So, as you know, like, exams are an important part, and we need to give an exam to know the learnings that we have got from the coaching that we have received.
Exactly. I think because some people are also afraid of failing, I always feel like just taking the exam on its own is not a great measuring tool. But yes, you do need some kind of concrete measuring, of course, otherwise it will never be objective enough. Yeah.
Yeah. So, can you just share me a success story of the startup that benefited from using low code solutions?
Um, so I'm actually building. I don't know if they will be successful. I think so. They have already started their business. It's called Career Hero AI, and we are actually building it for them as a side project because I was really, really interested and excited. So what they are doing is they use the local platform to invite people, students mostly, to have a chat with a chatbot career coach, which will then ask a bunch of questions. They have to ask feedback from peers, so people who they worked or studied with, and then they will receive a career compass in the end. And that career compass is kind of additional to your resume, which is very much um, about what is your work and study experience. And this career compass is a lot more about what are your skills, what are your strengths, what are your hobbies and passions. And they have already used it on some people. There's actually a lot of people that have already found through this better fits for what they want to do with their lives, because that's a very big thing these days, I think, for
Okay.
people to decide what they want to do after university.
Okay, so we will get to know about it later in the future. I hope
Sorry,
so very soon. We'll get to know about the platform
the the app,
later in the
yeah.
future.
Yeah, it should go worldwide, so maybe it will be in India at some point as well.
Okay, I'm excited. So, what exciting developments do you see for the future of low code development?
I am a bit focused these days on artificial intelligence. I have to say, I don't know how other people feel, but when it just came up, especially ChatGPT, I was very skeptical because people kept making like um pictures of, oh, what would the cast of Harry Potter look like if they went to a rave, that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was funny, but I was like, yeah, okay, but I'm gonna leave it there. But I have, especially by building this app, realized that there is a lot of different ways to add artificial intelligence, not just ChatGPT, but all kinds of machine learning to especially also educational platforms. I'm very obsessed with Duolingo myself, where they use this adaptive learning paradigm. For people who don't know exactly what that is, it's a bit of an algorithm that measures the types of mistakes and the speed of correct or incorrect answers that a user gives. And based on that, gives back new questions that are not too difficult but also not too easy, so people stay motivated, and you can use the metrics to really track where someone how someone is learning. And I think we will probably not start with an adaptive learning paradigm, but exciting developments for the future will definitely be at least the chatbots to add some more basic feedback, ask questions to users or students, give some guided answers if people are really stuck. But my dream would also be at some point to integrate some more adaptive learning paradigm.
Okay, and adaptive learning, I just love the algorithm that it's gonna make correction so easy in the future.
Yeah, and make everything a lot more personalized. So you don't have to decide in advance how the world is going to be, then write your algorithm and then hope that it matches reality. You can actually measure reality, and the computer can act accordingly. I love it. Yeah.
And if you get it like if there's a machine who's gonna correct the answers, students don't have to wait for the reports, they can directly generate it.
That's right. People
That's
can directly, they can generate reports. Yeah, you don't need the in between, of course. Yes, and if it's just regular questions, because in our bootcamp, for example, we have a lot of questions that are just about understanding. For example, what is a parameter? What is an entity? Very in the basic, when you just get started. And those are answers that the chatbot could easily check to see if the answer of the student is correct or not, and then they don't have to wait, they don't have to decide for themselves if it's correct, and the trainer doesn't have to be there. Yeah, I'm very excited about those, implementing those. It's on the roadmap.
Okay, so basically it's gonna be time saving, it's gonna get all automated using AI.
I think only partially, because I think the strength, that's something that we want to stick to at Low Code Academy at all times, is that it will never be fully automated. We will always want a person with a real, not an artificial, but an organic, intelligent brain, to ask the critical questions and to help people get motivated in a human way. So I think it will not all be automated, but I think it will be an addition, and then trainers can, of course, still see what people wrote down, what the chatbot has responded, and still be able to correct it as well or add to it.
Okay, so there will be always a human touch.
I think there will always, in our trainings, I think there will always be a human available. This is also for the part of, yeah, keeping understanding as a person. You are working with something that is made by people, and you are part of a community, which with everyone working remotely can already be a bit strange for the brain sometimes. I work a lot from home as well, and I love it, but I do think that speaking to people, especially when you're learning a new skill, is very crucial.
Yeah, definitely. And you should be knowing the other person's opinion as well, how they see it.
Yes, and also, of course, the trainers will have a lot more experience on the job, because they probably were or are still a developer on the side, or uh, yeah, they will just have tips that the chatbot will not have.
Okay. Can you just let me know what are your long term goals and vision for Low Code Academy?
So I think I did not mention it that much, but we are very we have very high priority for inclusion in tech, the diversity, equality, and inclusion. So I think that goes hand in hand with our scalability. Our long-term goals would definitely be to educate everyone everywhere. So this means not just in Western Europe and the US, but everywhere in the world. Give people access to low-code education. Because it is fun, but also because we are missing really cool insights of people who are in this world using tech and should be part of making tech. Um, as I mentioned before, we want to be more than just a Mendix hub. We want to be the number one go-to low-code education hub in the world. So that means, yeah, I mentioned OutSystems, but yeah, I think you also had Pega. But for example, we're about to meet this really small startup that created their own low code. We are very open to also educate in their low code. We really want to be the low code community educator worldwide. And of course, we want to keep high quality, scalable, and accessible education.
Okay, so Tiama, it was very exciting to know about the low code from you. You have given us like valuable insights. Thank you for
Thank you.
sharing your experience and expertise with us.
Thanks for asking me.
Okay, so would you like to say something to our audience before we wrap up the conversation today?
This interview might come out of nowhere. You might not know about everything that I spoke about, but if you are somehow interested in knowing more about any of the things that I mentioned, feel free to connect on LinkedIn, send me a message. Yeah, always open to meet new people who have shared interests.
Okay, sure. Maybe in the future, anyone who watches the audience, please connect with Yama and know more about how this low code work. Okay, so thank you for tuning in, and we hope they had a great time diving into the world of technology and low code with us.
I did. Thank you.
Okay,